Hello and welcome. My name is Penny, and like most goblins, I have a big hoard of things that I love. And in my hoard, I have lots of games, and lots of those games are really important to me. So I want to show you guys my hoard, so you can see all the wonderful games I grew up playing that shaped me as a person and inspired me throughout my life. Today, we're going to be playing Thief 2. So the last series, the first series on this channel was Thief Gold. We got the introduction to Garrett, the protagonist, to the world of Thief, being the city and the strange magics and wild encounters that one can find within its walls. And it ended with us stealing from my god and ending the apocalypse. So clearly everything is all hunky-dory, right? We don't need a second game. Everything's all perfect puppies and rainbows. We're all holding hands now. No, there's a second game. There's a prophecy that we learned at the end of the first game about beware the dawn of the Metal Age. Well, Thief 2, the Metal Age. We're in it now. This game is considered by many to be the best of the series. There's a lot of bug fixes, a lot of bugs from the first game that were fixed in the second game. There's new tools, new weapons, new items, new enemies. The maps are larger and more expansive, but also are more detailed. So even though they're larger, it's not at the cost of being bland. If you remember from Thief Gold, there were many times that we would come across a room or just some area of the map. I just felt kind of superfluous. It just felt like they put it there to make it feel bigger, but it really wasn't. You'd come into a room and be like, oh cool, a blank rectangular room with stone walls and a stone floor and a stone ceiling and a single barrel tucked into the corner. And you're like, wow, that was a great use of everybody's time. Even though I'm sure it took all of 30 seconds to make that room in the level editor, it still is like, what was the point of that? But in this game, all the rooms feel like they actually have a purpose. The levels feel like they're more lived in. When you go into these houses and various other locations, it feels real. It feels like these could be real locations, which is why people love this game a lot more. Big levels that are nicely detailed, well thought out, and new tools and toys to play with and new enemies to play with them on. So let's get started and let's enjoy this cutscene. I'm going to try to remember for the cutscenes. I have a special button here to turn off my sort of overlay that you'll see on the screen so that it can zoom in on the game a bit more and you'll be able to see these beautiful cutscenes as they should be seen, which is with all your eyes focusing on it and not on my little bouncing face in the corner. So let's get started.
I've always equated feelings with getting caught. They both get in the way of my money. Unfortunately, not everyone is as committed to their work as I am. An old associate of mine, Basso the boxman, wants to marry Lady Rumford's chambermaid, Genevieve, and live happily ever after. Guess prison life spoiled his taste for thievery. Too bad for Basso that Lady Rumford has other plans. Marriage would void Genevieve's indentured service contract, so Rumford is keeping her confined in the estate with the rest of her worldly possessions. Basso has asked for my assistance on getting her out, since infiltration is my specialty. I make it a policy never to take a job so sentimental, but the Rumford Manor could be a lucrative opportunity for a man like me. It would also mean that Basso would owe me a favor, and in this line of work you can never have too many of those. I'll sneak in after dark and clear a path for Basso so he can rescue his damsel in distress. Along the way, I'll pick up a few souvenirs for the local pawn shops. That should make all this aggravation worthwhile. Otherwise, I'll make Basso wish he was still rotting in Crag's Cleft. This proves it. Going legit is more trouble than it's worth.
So, running interference. We're gonna play this game like Thief Gold. We're gonna play it on hard difficulty, not too easy like normal difficulty, and not super hard like expert can be. I've beaten the games on the hardest difficulty, being expert difficulty, but for the purposes of enjoying myself on this series, I'm just gonna play on hard. So yeah, there we go. We have Basso the Boxman. You might remember him from Thief Gold's. That would be the second mission, break from Crag's Cleft prison. Well, second mission if you don't include the training mission. And I think it's funny that Garrett is the one saying he equates feelings with getting caught, because I do remember that the reason why Basso was even in the first game is because I believe the objective for saving Basso the Boxman in the first game was because you had it was like you have an eye on his sister or something like that, and if you save Basso the Boxman, she'll owe you a favor. So I guess times change, huh? So once you're ready for Basso to go, give the signal using the bird call he gave you. You have to be close enough for him to hear it. Okay. Help Basso and Genevieve get out of the mansion together. You'll need to scout ahead to make sure Basso's route is safe. Luckily, Basso didn't say anything about not taking Lady Rumford's stuff. Get 300 in the loot, and Genevieve will be aghast if anybody died because of this. Don't kill anyone. Yeah, so on normal difficulty, it's just go straight to the objective, and that's fine. Hard, finally, you need to get some loot. And then expert, also get 200 in gems, and then get at least 8 knockouts. So we're going to play on hard.
I sprung the lock on the side door for you, Garrett. It's the only good way in.
Okay. God. This game can be beautiful, honestly. Even with these kind of lower graph. I'm not playing with the HD textures on right now. I don't think I am. It doesn't look like it. Even with these, base stock textures, this game still looks quite beautiful. To me, at least. Just can't beat this atmosphere. So I'm gonna save. Goblin 1. Continue. And let's just start getting into it. This is the training mission. Now, I did notice, if you're playing on normal and you walk down this stretch of grass right here, Garrett will say, I better check my map, and it tells you which key to check your map is. I'm playing on hard, so he doesn't say a thing, but check my map, and this here is why everybody loves Thief 2. They changed the map system. You can see here, this bright yellow highlight, that's where we are, and the blue highlight is where we've been. That was not present in the first game. In the first game, it was just where you are, but not where you've been. So now you can properly tell all the areas that you haven't looted yet, which is amazing, because sometimes in those levels in the first game, again, because they were a little less detailed and sometimes a little bit more maze-like, you could pretty easily miss a room or two if you weren't paying attention. But now you can finally loot everything. I'm gonna hop the gate like that, which is not what they wanted you to do. I just want to steal that loot right there. And the guards are obviously blind, because they don't they didn't notice a strange man in a cloak just running up, stealing their goblet, eating their cheese, and running away. They noticed me, but they didn't, like, get alerted.
Good thing the butler's out for the night. He left his lights on.
Yes, he did. Okay. Okay, there's the key. Now, one thing that I also love about this game is the aesthetic. Well, first off, you can tell these rooms already are a little bit better detailed than the first game. There's a little bit more thought put into it, which I appreciate. But also, just look at the aesthetic of this building. It's very different from the first game. The first game was definitely more of a medieval sort of feel, and now they've gone to this like late 1800s. I mean, I'm not an expert on aesthetics and when certain time periods were in terms of like fashion and architecture, but it definitely is leaning a lot more into like a late 1800s sort of aesthetic and vibe. And later on, you'll even see it goes a little bit further into a more of a early 1900s like Art Deco sort of vibe, which I really love. So this game, clearly time has passed. Everything is a little bit more modern. There's more electric lights. They look different. They feel just more classy, rather than crude, I guess. A lot of the electric lights in the first game felt like they were, again, crude is the word that I'm thinking fits best here, because their technology just hadn't gotten to the point where it's all, you know, fancy and beautiful and refined, I guess. So yeah, a lot of them used to look a lot more like this. Clearly this is Butler. This is a little hard to read because under Butler, I guess. Under Butler. So the under Butler just gets that kind of cheap looking light. But it's still like, oh yeah, look at this entire power room that they have in here for keeping all their electronics on. Yeah, normal difficulty. Garrett here also mentions you need to put out the light, so I'm gonna do that.
Damn torches, always sputtering out.
Well, don't just make cap over it. Light it up.
I lost my tinderbox. Oh, why don't you do it?
I ain't the one that's complaining, am I now?
Huh.
Third room here. Steady on.
Ooh, that way.
Bit of a hit, shouldn't know why. And now there are female guards. They didn't have that in the first game. So diversity win. The cops arresting you are now female. So yeah, even this torch, quote unquote, this gas lamp, they can be put out, but they can also be relit. And I remember it may have been a fan mission, but I remember seeing, side note, a little secret here, I remember seeing like NPCs that would be able to interact with them. Like they were able to set the AI to recognize when the gas lamps are turned off, and they would go and turn them back on. Also, yeah, because I'm playing on hard, normally when you pick up these new items, it'll tell you what they do. But playing on hard, so it didn't feel the need to explain what all these items do. And right here as well, Garrett would mention you need to knock this guy out. But again, playing on hard, it's assumed that you know what you're doing. So if you played on normal difficulty, Garrett would be having little insights and tidbits of information to teach you what to do.
What was that noise?
So as you can see, we're taking this route here, and you might notice that we're kind of not going upstairs, and I feel like that was intentional, because by not going upstairs, we're not getting a ton of loot. I remember where a lot of the loot in this mission is. So far we only have 275. Oh, now we're at 325. There you go. We've hit our objective already. But for a first-time player, you're not going to be getting a ton of loot. Oh, nabbed your key. Not going to be getting a ton of loot, and you're going to be sticking to the downstairs, basement area. And as you get more experience, you'll want to go upstairs to grab the other tidbits of loot.
Show yourself.
So, I'm going to clear out the downstairs first, and then we're going to go upstairs and loot the heck out of the upstairs. I will say this tutorial is better in some ways than Thief Gold's tutorial. I think it could be a best of both worlds situation, honestly, if they tried. Because the first game's tutorial mission was focused more on like movement. You had the crawling and swimming and there's a guard room.
That you?
Get at this guard real quick. Boop. Interacting with objects, stuff like that. And not so much on stealth a ton.
Well, that's her door. Guess Basso can open it. He's not much of a sneak, but he can sure handle a lock.
Like, you don't have a chance to learn how to knock out opponents. You don't have a chance to, properly learn about water arrows and other things in your toolkit. But on the other hand, this tutorial mission doesn't teach you about, climbing and mantling and, proper sword fighting techniques and whatnot. I think it could have been a best of both worlds. I think if I were to improve this tutorial mission, I would have added some stuff about how to climb and mantle and whatnot. I think those are very important skills that if this is your first time playing any Thief game, and you started with Thief 2 for some reason, I think you deserve to know how to climb and mantle and stuff. Done ya. Sometimes I think I miss the days when crime ruled the streets, as the sheriff would have it. Either way, we walk in fear, but before we lost at most a purse, while now we may be shut up in irons simply for seeing the wrong thing at the wrong time. Give me the old days back again, and a pox upon Truart and all his thugs. Yes. There's a new power in town. The crime wardens are no longer as powerful as they used to be. They still hold some power, but they are definitely, compared to the new sheriff and the new police force in the game, things have definitely changed. If you couldn't tell by the new sort of aesthetic, this new fashion and architecture, there's a new police force. Things have just overall changed. Gotta run up and hit you. Ooh, okay. Almost didn't make it. Dump you in here. I mean, look at this. It's very, very different from the aesthetic of the old games. But it still weirdly fits, I think. Oops. I'm so used to Thief Gold, I did Shift Alt W to lean forward instead of just regular Alt W. That's why I didn't lean forward. So this person is, you know, very clearly just very wealthy. But I like to think, I guess this is a headcanon, if you will, that they're not necessarily wealthier than the crime lords that we came into contact with in the first game. Like, I like to think that a few years have passed since the first game, and it's just this is the new style that everybody's going for. Lord Bafford's manor probably, you know, now looks similar to this, knowing Lord Bafford, since he was you know, from all the missives and letters that we read about him, he very clearly was obsessed about his own self-image. So I like to think that maybe the layout wouldn't be any different for his place. I mean, his house is made, or manor, I guess, was made of lots of stone, and knocking down stone walls is a great way to ruin your structural integrity. I remember there being a secret here. It might be it's a similar room on the other side of the house. That might be it. I think I think it's the other side of the house. Sorry. So the layout of Lord Bafford's manor probably still the same, but I'm sure he started to deck it out in, you know, all this fancy looking stuff. I think because this house is definitely more of a countryside manor. I mean, if you looked at the outside. Whoa. I don't know why game had a little hitch again there, but so because this is a countryside manor, I assume because of how the outside of this building looks, I assume that's why they have more space for such a big, you know, production. Whereas Lord Bafford's manor is very, it's tucked into the city. You're constrained by how the streets are. Here's a little secret. Gives you new objectives. What would a wedding be without rings? Get 2 for Basso and Genevieve. Bonus objective. Hell yes. We may be a bastard, but we understand. Gotta have wedding rings.
Imagining things now.
Yes, you are. You are imagining things. And now, we're going in here. Some kind of coat closet. Okay. So I'm sure, like, you know, Bafford, Ramirez, all of them probably, you know, wanted to keep up with the times, and now also have fancy houses like this. A lot more wood, a lot more carpeting. Still using torches in some places. I guess that's maybe because electricity and water don't play nice, or just for aesthetic. I don't know. I'm not Lady Rumford. Where does this go? Housekeeping. Oh, okay. We're on the other side. Oh, a little bit of loot. Thank you. So, yeah, aesthetics have changed. I assume it's because time has passed since the first game. People's sense of style has changed, and I think it's gonna mesh in a lot more once we get into.
Thought I heard something.
Yeah, I was talking and you interrupted me. That's what you heard.
Must have been rats.
No, I'm a goblin, not a rat.
And for them people.
So this game definitely leans a lot more into the steampunk aesthetic, and you'll see why. And I think it's only fitting that the aesthetics of the world change as well. I just think it's very amazing and beautiful how this game handles. Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Sorry. Little secret. Thank you. Environmental storytelling and environmental world building. This game does have its faults and does have genuine, I don't want to say problems, but even big fans of the game like me will say that there are, there are some downsides. This game is a little bit less, I don't want to say less weird. It's definitely weird, but not as like intensely weird as the first game was. It feels more grounded, for better or for worse. I don't want to say realistic, because some of the stuff we're coming across later is definitely not going to be realistic. But a lot of people do miss the sort of general zaniness of... Is there anything up here? No. The general zaniness of the first game. There's a lot less in terms of, the Tomb Raider-y style levels. There are almost no undead in this game. I say almost no. There are, I think, 1 or 2 instances of zombies that are like tucked out of the way. Very little in terms of like the Lost City, the Haunted Cathedral, all those levels that were a lot less focused on stealth and more on sort of general exploration, which I liked those levels, but I can understand why people wanted more of a actual thief experience. I'm going to use the bird whistle right at the window, which kind of defeats the purpose of using it. I could easily just say, hey, Basso, I'm ready, but there you go. Okay, I'm going to stop that. Oh yeah, this is a new item. I completely glossed over. They added flares. So if you're ever complaining that the game's too dark, oop, you got a flare. You can toss it around. It of course lights you up, but they only last, I think, 30 seconds. But you get quite a bit of them in most levels, and the game is rarely ever too insanely dark that you'll ever feel the need to actually use them. And you can also just turn the gamma up. But I appreciate that they did add those in case you wanted to have, a dark screen and not turn the gamma up, which can kind of wash out the colors. What are you doing, buddy? Yeah, if you don't want to have a high gamma, but you still want a dark game, then you can have these flares to help light up the way a little bit. Boop.
No more.
What?
Please.
That hurt you? Okay.
No more. Please.
Well, okay. Apparently you can damage people with flares. I had no idea. Or at least either that or Basso is the weakest man in existence. Oop, here we go.
Basso!
Shh, come with me.
I'm going to do that in real life whenever I open up a door. I'm going to open up a door, stand in the doorway, readjust my stance, and then stare at the person for about 2 seconds before speaking. Yeah, Thief 2 ran so that Skyrim could walk. Yeah, even Genevieve's outfit is a little different from the usual, you know, peasant folk aesthetic of the first game. But we still got indentured servitude, and I think because this game has more of a modern aesthetic, it makes the mission complete. It makes the sort of class divide, class warfare thing stand out a lot more. I missed a little bit of loot. I'm a fake gamer. Only 2 out of 3 secrets. Man, nobody's gonna believe that I know this game like really well. But that was nice. There was a nice little intro mission. Obviously, if you're playing on normal, it gives you a lot more hints. Garrett says a lot more. And there are little hints that show up on screen telling you what to do. I'm playing on hard, they don't show up. Which I think is a good design choice. You know, if you're playing on a harder difficulty, you don't need those hints. 21 minutes and 47 seconds. I'll make this as its own episode. I know the next mission can go a little bit long, so I'm gonna have it be its own thing and not make this, you know, a stupidly long episode for you guys. So this one's gonna be kind of short compared to the rest of them, but I think a little bit of a short introduction is it's a perfect little appetizer, I guess, into this world. And with that, we're gonna stop here for now, and I'll see you guys next time in the next mission. If you guys liked this video, please like it, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. I will be playing Thief 2 and Thief 3, and I've got a whole bunch of other games I have planned. But as we get closer and closer to me, you know, getting through my Hoard, I would be more than happy to listen to you guys on what you want me to play next. I've got games like Neverwinter Nights, American McGee's Alice, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, the Total War games, as well as a couple of games on Wii and GameCube emulator that I have, because I am mostly a PC gamer, but in middle school I played a handful of Wii and GameCube games, so I wanted to play some of those as well on my channel. But I'm more than happy to listen to you guys' suggestions, and just your thoughts in general. What you liked about Thief 2, what you like about just Thief in general, and your experiences with it if you grew up playing it like me, or if you are new to it and you're experiencing this game for the first time, 2 decades later after it came out. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.